Hello, everybody, and thank you all so much for tuning in. This is the Vuyo Show, and of course, we are coming to you from New York City with another epic episode of just inspiring and exciting individuals who have unique stories to share with us and help us kind of get perspective on the world. And today's guest has done incredible things in the world of music. I cannot wait for you to meet her. You are going to love her. I've heard of music, I've been following her journey. And I must tell you that you definitely want to know who this person is. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the next couple of minutes with myself and the one and only, the true woman, the musician who's giving us vibes right here in New York. Ladies and gents, Dyna.
Yes, thank you so much. It's the girl, Edyne. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we're going to have a good time, you know?
It's a good time. It is definitely a good time.
Yes.
As I said, I've been following your journey since I met you.
Yes.
Which I don't know how many months it's been.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy. Time flies.
Time flies.
Yes.
But I've been following your journey and just super intrigued by, firstly, your music, because that's amazing. But also your energy and your vibe. I just feel like we need a lot more of this kind of sensationalism.
Ooh, I like that word choice. Thank you.
That song "Sensational" kind of comes to my mind when I think of you. So, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a long time coming.
I know. Yes, because we had an original interview via IG.
Yes.
So now we're here.
I
see you.
When I was introducing you, I used the word tree woman, and I don't know, I see that a lot on your socials.
Yes.
But I've always wondered, like, what does this mean? Where does this come from? Like, if you can share a little bit more about that with us.
It definitely has kind of its history. When I started music, I was inspired by a portrait, which was like a tree woman kind of planted into the ground, and her arms were extended as branches. And, you know, I love to be around nature. I'm a big, outdoor girl. I rollerblade a lot. Like, it's kind of like my meditation. So it immediately resonated with me, and I took it with me, from the start. And I knew that Edyne, as cute as the name is, sometimes people mispronounce stuff like that. So I felt like it was a great way to kind of have an AKA. And yeah, it's kind of like being planted or grounded in your beliefs, but your branches are always extending, always growing.
Yeah.
So I believe in, limitless growth. It's just something I've always
love that.
carried.
And I think there's a level of your energy that kind of that has that groundedness.
Yeah.
But also that growth that comes with that as well.
Right. It's kind of like both aspects can coexist and, really make the most out of your life with that.
But you mentioned that your name, a lot of people, maybe here in New York or here in the US, might have find it difficult to pronounce. I know I have a very difficult name, so I relate to that in so many ways. Even though it's 4 letters, it's like, what? You can't say the name.
So many ways they can just like spew it out.
But because I'm from South Africa, so it's native in my home language. Mm-hmm. For you, where does the name originate from, and what does it also mean?
Right, that's a good question. It's funny, my name, it has an interesting story. Dyna, I've always been called Dyna. It's my real name, but I was born with like a different name. And it kind of like attaches to my dad and my dad's side of the family. My grandmother's name is Edyne. My dad's name was Pierre Eddie. So, I was named Edyne when I was born. So, and Edyne is also a native name from Haiti. So, I'm Haitian American. So, Edyne, I've known a couple of Edynes growing up. So, I kind of took it with me, although my name transitioned to just be Dyna.
Yes.
As growing up, Haitians, they call you by your middle name. It's kind of weird. You have a first name, but it's kind of like disregarded. Yeah. So Dyna was my middle name, and it's a long story.
Yes. No, but
it's a lot. But Edyne is what I chose to kind of like keep as like the foundation. I feel like it most represented kind of like a piece of my history, my family, as well as who I am. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely I can understand because now you're saying that this is your second AKA. You had a name, you had an AKA, and now this is your second AKA.
In a way, it's like we're just kind of defined in so many ways. Yeah. And I feel like kind of like Erykah Badu has so many AKAs, you know. I feel like in a way we have so many layers to ourselves.
Yeah.
So.
But also, again, back to the tree analogy, a tree has so many layers into it, right? It has so many parts of it that all of them could be and should be explored, even as our names, you know what I mean? So that in itself, I think, is absolutely beautiful. And Haiti, how is your relation and your connection to Haiti? I know you said your family has origin in Haiti, but what does Haiti mean to you now?
Yeah, Haiti to me now, I just have a lot of pride being able to represent, you know, the first, you know, free Black countries, you know, one of the first to gain our independence. And I do think that obviously we go through a lot of harsh times being a third world country, but the roots of my origin is definitely heavily carried into how I was brought up. You know, I'm a first generation Haitian American, so I was born and raised in South Florida, Miami. But it's like I still feel, you know, my country, my origin, like through, you know, my elders. And I was fortunate enough to visit the country through a cruise line earlier this year. So I got to go to Labadie, and I just felt, you know, the pride. And I haven't been since I was like 3.
Okay.
So I don't have many memories of Haiti, unfortunately, but being able to just visit it, you know, for the few hours.
Do you speak the language?
I do. I speak Creole, so I'm thankful that I have, you know, a second language under my belt. And just I was able to communicate with the natives on the island and get us some good, you know, culture food. You know, some home cooking while we were there.
So I can imagine then your family was heavily Haitian in the house.
Oh, of course. So both sides of my family are from Haiti. So the language is very much, you know, in the house and circulated, and the food and, you know, all the hospitality. You know, Caribbean culture. I know that other Caribbean islands can relate to that feeling.
Yeah. I've encountered with a lot of, before coming to America, I don't even think I've met anyone from Haiti.
Yeah.
Coming to New York.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah. But I just feel like the Haitian population just has a different energy and it's just a vibe to it.
Yes.
That is very different to a lot of other, because New York has people from all over the world, right? But there's just something cool about Haitian people. Yeah. What is it? I don't know. Is the energy, is the vibe? Is it something that's cultural?
Yeah, I think it could definitely stem down to being a cultural thing. Like I said, we have a lot of pride from just like, we have a fight in us, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have a lot of work ethic. We work hard for what we want. A lot of Haitians, they come here with a purpose, with a dream. I'm sure you know, like, when you got to move from your homeland to a whole nother continent, honey, it's just like, you got to get to work. So I think a lot of that is a part of the charisma that we carry. And I do think the community here is tight-knit. Like, I receive a lot of support from the Haitian community here. And, you know, I'm just grateful for that.
You use the word charisma, which I think really exemplifies it all.
Yeah.
Right? But South Florida also has its own energy.
Yeah.
Its own vibe.
Definitely. I think the energy, the Haitian energy in South Florida and New York is a little different.
Yeah.
But it's enlightening still.
And when did you fall in love with music? When did music kind of bump into you, or you bump into it? Because there was a collide that happened.
I like how you worded that. I always think back to the memory of when I was like 5, and, you know, I just was like in the living room and the TV was on, and I just saw Spice Girls, and that was my first kind of like encounter, like, what is going on? What are they doing? I want to do that. You know, like, I think it was the music video where they were throwing the boomerangs in the desert, and I forget the song right now. Yeah. I just was immediately sparked by it. I remember singing covers of Spice Girls to my family. Whenever they were over the house, I would like get on a little stage and start singing what I know, child. And you know, just music videos at that time, you know, mid-90s and late 90s, they were just so innovative, and I think they caught my attention, and it was just most awesome thing to me.
Yeah. So Spice Girls, okay, so I'm trying to paint this picture and get this understanding of this young girl who sees Spice Girls and is inspired by Spice Girls. At home, was any of your fam, because a lot of people who actually can sing or are musical, there's some sort of musical roots that they have. Maybe their family members can sing, or you guys used to, like, do you have any historical music
That's a good question. I actually do not. I don't really come from a family of music, because, you know, when you come from a Caribbean country, those are like dreams that cannot be reached. It's like, you need to be Dr. Lloyd and you go to school.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not necessarily, a part of my history but, my mom and my dad were great lovers of music. So I was brought up with so much diversity in different genres and hearing, different types of music under, one roof. It was amazing.
Okay. Okay. So there was exposure to music and the variety of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything from like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s today. And I think that it was good to just hear all well-rounded, aspects of music.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And now I'm just curious to just also find, like, what your first memory of you performing and what that felt like. Do you remember singing for the first time? Who told you that you can sing as well? Or who told you that was good? Or did you just know that was good?
These are good questions. I don't remember if there was like a specific person I was like, you're good. Or I remember being young and just doing it because I felt like, I felt like maybe I could hold a note, and I was mimicking my, inspirations. And I might have been around my cousins at the time because I'm an only child, so majority of my time spent were with my cousins. You know who they are: Christy, Patrice, Ashley. And we would always try to do some talent show stuff. So it's like always like battle of the veg, like in our living room. And I think around those times in early ages, like they started recognizing, hold up, Dina can sing, and then they would challenge me. They'd put me on the spot in front of guests, like, sing this song. Nice. So it would always be like pressure, me being put on the spot to sing a song and show off and like get nerves off and just do it. But talent shows, stuff like that. My first talent show was in middle school, and kind of breaking the ice with performing. So there was, you felt it, but also people then started seeing it and highlighting it in you. For sure. So I would definitely give the kudos to my family for purposely like putting me on the spot to sing. Okay. A lot of that goes to my cousins. Yeah. Shout out to your cousins. Yeah. And then, so now I'm kind of just like, you're in middle school, do you get to win these competitions? Yeah. Are you like placing at those competitions? Right. Because I guess that then fuels you to keep doing and to keep doing and keep doing, right? Yes. I remember being exposed to it initially in middle school. I sang I'm Going Down with a old friend. Her name was Ashley. And it was just the cutest thing. We're in the cafeteria, like they don't even have like it was just, I don't know, I feel like they were trying to introduce it onto the school, and it was just new, and we were just it was ratchet. And high school was when I really kind of like stepped into it a bit more. I joined the choir. We went to nationals, you know what I'm saying? We were like in there. I remember having a solo in the choir, like shout out to Bobcats because we actually did some things in high school. We were able to travel with the choir, so that felt pretty cool. And I did win a talent show my junior year in high school. So little things like that were building up my confidence, and further introducing me to the idea of like, I could do this, And what songs are you singing at these talent shows? And I ask you this question because at that age, maybe you might not have necessarily found your voice or knew what your voice was, but what you were singing and performing was a resignation of what you enjoy and what you like. So 100%. what songs were you performing? Definitely Mary J. was on the top of the list because at the time I knew that my voice projected very soulfully. And, sometimes people be like, oh, you sound like Fantasia. Like, all right. Well, I enjoyed singing soulful songs, so I gravitated towards Mary. And I remember my senior year, I sang Alicia Keys's Some People Want Out. And I really butchered that song. I was so embarrassed. I remember when I sang it, it was so bad. My voice was breaking, hitting all the wrong notes. And I remember being so discouraged. I like cried on my, when my mom drove us back home, I was crying, and I just I might have punched the wall. Like, I was going through some things.
Yeah.
Just because I just thought, what, maybe it's not for me. I almost felt like that was such a failure, and I didn't win that year. And it was just
But I guess that's also testament of just maybe that type of sound was not organic to you, right?
Oh,
Do you think so?
Yeah, and I was undeveloped still. So it was I was just winging it, going for it, trying to wail on stage, just do what I could do. But very early on, I think that the nerves were still very prominent. So it took some time for me to get comfortable on stage.
You mentioned the words undeveloped, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious now, because there's always this debate about is talent enough? Can you be born with a talent that you don't necessarily even have to be developed or trained or train yourself or learn more?
Right.
But the talent in and of itself is enough. But you using the words undeveloped now means that then there was a process of development.
I'd say so, because when it comes to stage presence and just knowing how to execute a song and being in your element while doing it, it can take time. Some people, have it at 5 years old, everyone's different.
Yeah.
I always knew I carried this voice, but there were moments on stage where I wasn't necessarily confident in myself, and it doesn't come out. It comes out that way. So, you kind of have to gain that assurance in yourself, which has happened through the years for sure.
So even if you do have the voice, but there are still elements that still need to be developed.
Exactly.
Right.
Which can cause you to shake on stage. You might sing you might have a great voice, but if you're not in your element, it might come out crazy. So you might see those instances where, oh my God, Mariah sounded crazy that night. What was she doing? She might have not been all the way present, but obviously she has a voice of a goddess.
Yeah. And some people say people on Idols, sometimes the wooden mic folks are not wooden mic because they can't sing, but just because they were.
It's not because they can't sing. I guess because I'm in the paint. I know how it could go. So it's if you're parched, you know what I'm saying? There's so many different things that can affect your stage presence. Man.
That's I like that we highlighted that because I also think that a lot of the times, as you said, there was a point where you also felt like maybe this is not for me. That sometimes creatives might find themselves in a space where they're like, maybe this is not for me because of that development process not having been fully done.
Right.
That the talent is still there, but there are just elements to it that just need a little bit of honing.
Of course. Right? And it's just you second guess yourself. Those things happen. Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in South Florida, you were that girl. Were you that girl? That girl that everyone was like, she's our superstar. Were you that girl?
In high school?
Yeah.
Are you referring to high school?
Just in general, in Florida.
It's funny because I hear stories now where maybe my friends or family will tell me, girl, we were talking about you and this person said, you was it, or you, not was, but while you was in Florida, they was trying to do this, that. And it's funny to hear that because I guess being in the moment, I wasn't in that bubble. I wasn't in that aura. I was just doing me. I was just hustling. I was trying to get my name out there. I was trying to get the buzz flowing, which Florida definitely, shout out to my hometown, they definitely, lifted me up. But in the moment when you're just trying to hustle, you don't see it. I guess you don't feel it. But I receive a lot of love, and they kind of remind me that, I've planted a lot of seeds, my hometown are just kind of inspiring through the work ethic and the consistency is what I've received for the most part. And through that, it's just like support that I can't take for granted, and it's just keep going. It's kind of like encourages you to keep that momentum.
Yeah. Plants, you said you planted the seeds, which goes back to the tree, which you
Right.
began with, right? Goes
Right.
back to the tree.
All of that.
So you planted the seeds, and now the seeds are flourishing and the fruits are coming out.
Yes.
And we're getting to see that now.
Yes.
Would you say that you discovered your sound for your craft, for your artistry in Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that something that you still feel like, as you're in New York now, it's still coming out of
Right.
you? Where are you in that kind of debacle that a lot of artists find themselves, where they have to fully establish what it is, the sound that they want to put out, and be comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I feel like it's always evolving for artists. It's not necessarily, I found a sound and this is it and this is where I'm at, it's where I'm gonna stay. But rather, this is where I may be as of right now, but I have space to grow. But I almost can kind of see different layers to that question. So I definitely was able to cultivate my sound in South Florida, and kind of like ground myself in that soul, not aesthetic, but like a soulful sound and energy. But it can almost like have different layers to it. So I'd say it's always evolving and cultivating. The production that I work with has a lot to do with what comes out of me. So I'm super particular with who I work with music-wise, and there's super talented producers out here, especially in New York, that I've met, that I'm working with. Shout out to Dormanville, VTI. So it's just like bringing those two, the production and my voice together. And right now I'm trying to make sure it's just as authentic as I can possibly be. And, the instrumentation, you can hear the instruments in the music. I like to hear like the guitars, the drums, and make it a real experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With music being such a technical skill, right? How invested are you with just, you said you like hearing the guitar, you like hearing the drums.
Yeah.
How far in depth of music do you know that informs how you then interact with producers, or how you can tell a good producer? Because if you're a singer, you just get in the booth and you just sing, and you don't even know the other things, or mixing and production and all these things. So how invested would you say you are within all those different elements of what do you get to share with us as your music?
For sure. Well, I would say on the technical end, I've definitely invested in, having my own equipment at home, just so I can capture the essence whenever I feel.
Yeah.
But the production side, I just like to make sure that I'm immediately moved. So if I'm hearing it and it's like, it makes my heart start to, palpitate, like, it starts to just make my head nod, like, things that naturally start to just, I'm gravitating towards it, and I hear a melody. Like, those things happen immediately when I hear the production, and it's just like, oh my God, I'm starting to hear some words come together, a storyline. Like, I think those are the most inspirational moments, because it happens immediately on the spot. Like, kind of like when you meet someone and the chemistry is like, wow, like, you don't know what, like, why. But it's the same thing with music and producers and production. And I think that is, to me, what I tend to create. That energy is what I tend to like start creation from.
Yeah.
But it varies. Like, to me right now, like I said, I'm very much in my instrumentation bag. I want it to sound authentic, so when I am performing, it translates well on stage. And I think people just have a natural way of feeling, those authentic instruments too.
Yeah. And I think of music, because it comes from the soul, it then touches another soul. Now when you're performing, you know what I mean? When you're performing as an audience, we can feel the music. We're not just hearing the music, because that's one thing, hearing it, but feeling it, and it takes us on this journey, and it makes us feel these emotions or think about these things. Do you write your music? And where would you go inside of you to access those words, or is it stories that you've gone through, or things that you've heard or seen? Like, where does your writing stem from?
Yeah,
Again, back to the tree, the stem.
I see what you did there, girl. Yes, so many analogies to the nature and tree woman. But I do write my music. Majority of the time, it is emotionally stemmed. So it's just like, what am I going through today? Like, you know? A lot of times too, though, I tend to carry my loved ones' emotions as well. So I can vicariously, like, really, I'll be the one to, like, spew out the story they told me into a song. And it's like, oh my God. I was able to kind of see it through third person, but tell it like a first person narrative in a way. Yeah. So I like to do that too. It's not always about me. So sometimes when you hear a crazy song, y'all, it's not my life.
Like Dana's going through it. Dana is going through it.
Sometimes I am, you know, the drama is just up and down, but I'm not in drama like that. The last song I made, Honest, is actually co-written with my cousin Patrice, which is really cool. She's a great writer. She's more of a poet type of writer, and I invited her on this track, and I want to do more of that to kind of like expand with, you know, the writing and kind of seeing what angles we can attack it. Yeah.
You've released some really cool, you know, music out there, and your first single. What was your first single called? Where were you when you released it?
Oh my God!
And how did that feel? Knowing that you've just completed a project and now the world gets to appreciate it.
Right. It's so funny. My first single was called Pretty Face. And that was like the first song I think I ever put out. Yeah. So I know I made a first video. It was called Cold War. That might have been a song I put out via SoundCloud. It wasn't like on all platforms. I was kind of getting my feet wet. And shout out to Janelle Monáe, because that was like a sample off of her Cold War song. And yeah, this was like, where was I going with this? So the first song was Pretty Face. And I felt really good about it. I remember just like trying to make it look as quality as possible. I remember getting the camera crew together, you know. And I went to the studio. I paid for studio time. I made sure it was mixed and mastered to the T. Like, I was trying to go about it, you know, with my I's dotted, T's crossed, and stuff like that. And just looking back now, it's super cute to just remember how it all laid out. But now it's just like, ugh.
That you made sure that everything is in, at least to the degree at the time
my budget could handle, but it worked. You know, I worked with a few local creative
And this was in
people.
South Florida?
This was in South Florida, so Miami. Shout out to Key Footage. I'm pretty sure they're still active right now doing their thing, and you know they definitely broke the ice for me. You know, when I first was starting. So.
Man, I love reminiscing on the first, because the first was for anything, right? Yeah. It's like your first day at school, or your first day in college, or your first day in a city. It always brings back the memories that even brought you in that place in the beginning. So it's great hearing that.
I know, there's so many things start to come up now.
And then what was then the journey from there to, I know you've just released another banger, which you're going to chat about in a second, but from that first single to now, what would you say has been the trajectory and the journey been like in every release that you've put out?
It's definitely been a growing journey. I'm big on, like, if I'm feeling the song, I want to see how the public resonates with it. I want to see the feedback. I'll usually kind of go with my gut with releases. But yeah, I would say the journey has just been an evolving journey. I think that I'm finding ways to how I want to project my voice and how I want to, like, you know, present myself artistically. And I know that my flows, I like to kind of switch up flows in my music and, you know, might maybe go fast here, go slower, you know, kind of play with the instrumental and find different pockets to lay my voice into. So I find that I like to challenge myself in those ways. And it kind of sounds like people will think I'm rapping. I'm not rapping, but I'm not a rapper.
So Beyonce, I think it's a Beyonce effect. You know how they say Beyonce when Beyonce sings, and it's like, is she a rapper? No,
yes, because she's like switching it up. Like, you want to play with it. It's a creative space, so you don't want to keep yourself in a box.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's definitely, I'd say, hearing the different songs that you put out, but also still hearing you, hearing the variations, but still getting to hear you. Do you know what I mean? Like that in itself is just incredible. Coming to New York, I know you recently came right about the time when I had arrived.
I remember. I was just like, oh, my birthday.
It was like you and you, I'm you. Oh my God, we both you. But what did that move mean, and why did you come? Why did you feel like New York was a place that was going to resonate with the music? Because it's been watching your journey from when we met and just how things have just blossomed has just been amazing. Yes. Why was the move, and how has it been?
Why the move? Well, I felt like South Florida, as amazing as it is, it was hard to leave. It's not necessarily a hub for my genre. So that was something I recognized and kind of had to gather all of just what I needed to kind of relocate and start fresh. I wouldn't say start fresh because it's a new location, but I already have like the experience, I'd say. It was always between the three major cities. Atlanta was also an option. LA was an option. I visited all three numerous times, and I felt like New York, to me, resonated the most with my, artistry. Like, I had a very small tour in 2022 where I did 3 shows in the city and 1 in Brooklyn. And shout out to Make Manifest. They hosted my first show in Brooklyn. And it was just like the people were coming to the next one and the next one, and the support was real. It was kind of like different from the other 2 cities that I was trying to compare, and I decided to go with my gut and come up here, and it was crazy because I hate the cold. And I've been acclimating, and ever since coming here, things have moved super fast. I really like the hustle and bustle here. I feel like people don't play when they say something, they're actually going to do it. So I think that was a major thing for me, too, is people being about their word here as well. And, people don't play. If they support you, it's not because for the hell of it. It's because they really do. Yeah. So I like that.
The hustle and the bustle, and people, they mean what they say, and they stand on their business.
Yes. Okay? They don't play. They ain't got time to waste their breath. So it's like, they just keep walking if they don't have, if they don't have the time, they'll keep it moving. Yeah. But I find that the authenticity here is something I resonated with.
And I think what I've seen you do within the music space is performance quite a lot on stage, in person. Yes. Is that something that you're very intentional about? Because a lot of people would release songs and kind of have us, we're going to support, by listening to it digitally, but you do a lot of shows. Yes. Why is that important to you, to make sure that you're still connecting with your audience and you're performing on stage with those fabulous looks that you put on?
Shout out to the stylists I work with too. I'm just spew out these names. Rebel and Rennie, they were doing their thing. But I'd say that was my goal. Like, coming here, like, girl, I was like, I'm going to get on stage. That's why I'm coming to New York, is because I know that one of my strengths is my stage presence, is being able to connect with the crowd. It's kind of like showing you in person what it feels like, to listen and to just be in the aura. And that was my goal coming here. So I knew that as soon as I touched down, I was going to get straight to work and see, what stages I could get on and just continue to expose my talent in that way. I think that's one of, for me, the purest forms to connect with people as well. So I feel like once you have them there, it's a pretty good chance you'll have them for life. And that's the goal, longevity for me. So yeah, I love to perform, and the live band that I've locked in with here as well they're super awesome. So
I'm always curious to ask musicians who are performers on stage, because being on stage and performing live also requires a strong and a fully solid band.
Right.
How do you find band members? Do you audition for it? So you're like, come, let me hear you play the drums. Let's hear.
Right.
How do you connect with that, with that part of artistry and make sure that you get the best of the best and that they still help you perform the best way that you know how to.
Right. For me, the power of social media is real. So I, definitely kept my ears to the streets and kind of put out an announcement like, okay, who would like to work with me? I already knew, a handful of people before coming here that were already musicians. So, linking up with my boy Smiley, who is a guitarist. We already did a couple shows in New York. So he would be helping hand with, kind of exposing me to more band or musicians and instrumentalists. So right now, I'm pretty happy with my go-to band, which includes Dormaville, Aeneas, which is a drummer, Smiley or VTI for the guitar, and also Elijah on the saxophone. So shout out to y'all. I think that once you're able to find, a solid group or team that can and are willing to perform with you, because, it's just different circumstances, different stages. It's not always, the best. It's not always going to be what you think it's gonna be. But you never know. Some shows are different, but they're willing. So I'm super grateful for that. And we stick it out when we're doing our thing.
No, I've seen like that because it's a chemistry thing.
Yes.
Because without without a band, it's difficult to do a live show. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean, and do it effortlessly. But a band that's gonna complement you as well. So making sure that there's synergy there is also quite important.
Oh yeah.
This current project that you just brought out, I want to touch base on that. What it's called, and how does it feel having just released it?
Yeah, it feels great. Honest is a single I released on July 19th, and right now we're just kind of marketing it, promoting it, and the feedback has been really dope. For me, a shout out to the producer as well, Dev the Ninja. I feel good. Like, I don't know. I've been kind of waiting to put out a song. So I know a lot of artists can relate. Like, we're sitting on like all this dope music that, we consider to be ready to like unleash to the world. But it's always a plan that you kind of have to assort with the releases and things like that. So, and this is also exciting because once again, my cousin helped me write this song. She's on the verses with this song. And I feel like we get to kind of tell a story that I'm sure a lot of people can relate. Being in third-party situations, a person that's kind of leading you on, not being completely honest,
Girl.
Leave those in the past. Like, we're beyond that, but I did want to kind of create a tune, kind of like creating a storyline, but still, you're still cocky, you still know you that girl, even though you're in a situation, and you could, break free from it at any point. I kind of referenced Destiny's Child's "If" at the end, so that's sampled. If you don't see me picking up the phone like I used to, don't take it personal. So it's kind of like still ringing light to evolution. In the situationships, you still gotta evolve. You can't stay stuck.
You can't stay. I love music that speaks reality. Because some of us feel like actually like, Dana, you're talking about my situation right now.
Right. You don't want to be an option. You're the one.
You're the one.
But sometimes you gotta sing about every emotion. I don't like to, avoid whatever comes up. I like to express whatever emotion. I think music is just a free space to discuss whatever.
Yeah, and in the world now of singles, are you looking to put together like a full-on album, EP project? Like, is that something that's coming in the works?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah?
So we're leading up to that. I don't want to say too much, but there will be definitely a project to look forward to in the fall. We're putting those pieces together. It's all these loose ends that we tie in. So it's like getting the ducks in a row. The songs are ready. The content, some of the content is ready, but right now I'm working with a really dope team. Y'all will see really soon. I'm collaborating with a really dope platform for this EP. So we're making sure it's done right. No rush, but the music will continue to be released. I have a lot of songs that I'm ready to like let y'all hear. But definitely look forward to a project.
I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
And I knowing you, the music videos are gonna be popping. The singers are gonna be popping. The EP,
we're gonna get
the covers gonna be popping. The fashion's gonna be popping. Like, give us the whole package. Yes. I know that's gonna be.
I'll sneak peek the title of the EP is gonna be called Steez. So I feel like steez is one of those words that, look it up in the Urban Dictionary, because it's just like, it's an aura. It's like it's a swag. It's kind of like an energy, but it can't be pinpointed at the same time. It's unique to its own self. So I definitely resonated with that, and I ran with that. And one of the singles will also be called Steez on the album.
Nice.
Or the project.
We'll be on the lookout for Steez. But right now, we are vibing to Honest.
Yes.
Honest is available on all digital platforms. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And, you know, possibly a remix, crossing fingers. I'm waiting right now on a feature. But right now, you know, we vibing to the single. Definitely repost, share with your family, friends, all that good stuff.
Nice. Does having songs on stories and like reels, is that something that you encourage as well for audiences?
100%. Right now, you know, we're seeing some love on TikTok, via TikTok. I'm making sure that I'm keeping the song on rotation on my timeline, so people are catching on to the wave. And I'm just promoting that. I'm hoping that, you know, it just continues in that direction.
Yeah.
And, you know, people just continue to share their feedback.
Nice. Yeah. No, we definitely are going to continue jamming to it, vibing to it. But what's the trajectory? What is your ultimate goal? Like, if you were to, is it a Grammy? Is it top 100 Billboard? Like, what would you say is where you are looking forward to getting within your music career?
Yeah, I kind of like think of my inspirations when you ask this goal, like Sade, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott. I see myself just being in the music space for a long time. Yeah. I think I want my music to speak for itself when it comes to, like, you know, you could play this 10 years, 30 years later and still feel the energy. I definitely want some Grammys, you know what I'm saying? Nominations at the very least, but I want to take home a couple Grammys for sure. And, you know, I definitely just want to make my mark here. I feel like music is just a vast space, but if I could, you know, just leave a legacy for the next generations, I'll be very happy. Yeah. I'll be very, very happy about that. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you definitely deserve to have your mark in this industry, and you deserve to get those Grammys. Yes. Grammy, what is it, a board? Whoever they are.
Within the next couple of years, we gonna make some shake and bake. I'm very excited. I have a couple of my friends that just joined the board, so I'm working with them now, and we're just gonna make some magic. I'm looking forward to just making something you can't stop listening to.
Something you can't stop listening to. Are you performing anywhere anytime soon here in New York?
Yes, right now I am kind of putting a show together. It might not be till next month, so just look out for that, you know, via IG. I'll be announcing them. Right now, it's just more, you know, networking, marketing the single, and putting these songs out. But, you know, June was a super busy month, so right now I'm just like, relax a little bit, but in August we back at it. Yeah.
Summer's still popping at that time, so we'll be outside.
Yes, we are outside, honey.
Any last words before I let you go? I know you're a busy booked and busy hand, so I don't want to keep you long. But
first of all, congratulations to you for your evolution. Thank you for having me. The Vuyo show is, you know, doing its thing. It's a beautiful presentation. Since I met you, it's been an evolution. I think that my last words would just be, you know, keep going after what you want. I'm a big believer in, you know, making the most out of this life that we have here. And, yeah, just keep it real. Keep real with yourself. Keep grounded in your faith. Keep grounded in your faith. It's so much I can say, but that's what I'll keep it at that.
keep riding with the faith, and keep listening to Honest, and keep listening to music. All right. As you can see, I definitely got to feel the groundedness today as we opened up the show and spoke about the tree, and I see that blossoming right now.
My fellow Earth sign, my Virgo.
When are you? What's
Capricorn. January 16th.
January 16th. That's your birthday. Okay. Yes. I'm a Virgo all the way in September, but
now we connect. We're good. I love my Virgos.
But yeah, that's all we have in store. I know you're gonna be coming back again and again and again. When that EP is coming out, she'll be back, ladies and gents, and we're gonna be discussing that as well. But for now, go out to all digital platforms and go stream Honest. that's what we're gonna be doing as well. And of course, make sure you be ready for Steez, because that's what I'm looking forward to as well.
And you know, this might be my first time announcing it, so exclusive.
Exclusive. I love an exclusive.
Yes.
I love an exclusive. But ladies and gents, that's all we have in store for you today. Thank you once again so much for tuning in. This is the Vuyo Show. I told you I got you a special one, and we saw exactly what that all was today with the one and only Edyne.
Thank you.
I am excited about her career, and I'm hoping that you're going to follow her on social media, follow her on Spotify, and wherever you find your music. From myself, your favorite global darling, Vuyo and the one and only Edyne, it's goodbye, and have a fantastic one. Cheers for now. Cheers. Yay!
Hey, he did it! He did that. Hey, that was so cute. You're a natural girl.